Now listen, before we get into this one, as Drake is now more than ever getting his fans mad at every single person and making them believe conspiracy theory slop to make up for the fact that he is just no longer the top guy in rap or in music, well, we are really going to need the support today, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and with the more support that just calling out the plain out blasphemy that we can get, well, the more people that can contextualize the moment that we are seeing and see that you should never trust a grown man who tattoos other men on their arms, organizes streamer field trips, or does this on stage. And now, if you are ready to see how I also just met Pusha T last night, well, once again, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and stick around for that story at the end. And now, with that said, well, now when it comes to Jimmy Brooks from Degrassi, well, with what just went down, there is some good news and some bad news. And now for the good news, well, what is positive from here is that Drake has failed once again to reach the goals that he wants, and the status quo that he made the norm during the era where he just held music in the worst place ever, which was just that no matter what piece of trash he possibly put out, the song just went #1, and this was why for Drake throughout his entire era, unless he was getting blocked by an album like Taylor Swift and Midnight's and Her Loss didn't get a #1, or More Life was getting blocked by the success of Kendrick Lamar's Damn, and specifically tracks like Humble, DNA, Love, and Loyalty. After having real #1 songs earlier in his career, you could say, all of a sudden the #1 shifted to tracks like What's Next, Way 2 from CLB, Slime You Out, and stuff like that. And when you see that a song like Slime You Out was really one of the records that Drake wears on his jacket to try and be more eager than ever to disrespect Michael Jackson, because of course at the end of the day, a lot of the motive for Drake to do this is just to beat out his record and try to act like he is greater and more important than him, because even with FPS and when you really think about everything he has been doing and what's been going on, well, the whole second half of that record, which was reflected in the music video, was just this claim of, again, Drake really trying to solidify himself as being somebody who's even greater than him. Well, now, while Drake may be close to beating this record, he's got to get up on out of here, because MJ comes from an era where a song had to not be a meme to be a #1 record, and seemingly in the dot era, which we are in no matter what the Drake fans want to believe. Well, this is still the norm to some level, because now with Drake's confessional icebox crash out What Did I Miss? Well, to everybody's surprise, this song has become the first Drake record to not just fall off right after dropping, and at this point, with all of the campaigning that Drake has done for himself in terms of just gathering around all of the losers and rejects you possibly could, well, now What Did I Miss has become the anthem for people who miss the reality that we are all understanding, and as a result, well, with all the noise and chaos around the record, Drake has gotten a musical silver medal with a #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and with this, instead of being humble and accepting this #2, which would be big for him in this time where aside from Nokia, he has done nothing in so long, and with a debut, well, this did marginally better than any other song he has released, and again, Drake has dropped like over 50 records since the beef. Well, now, of course, as this is Drake, and to be honest, even with the success that he has gotten with this song, he has only been able to build up such an annoying following still by just being the leader of the Legion of Losers and lame, and to keep up with this, well, there's always a new person to be mad at and blame for your failure rather than just ever landing somewhere because it's your own doing. And while seemingly as a result of Drake being the rap and music version of that one guy who leads that one group, and you know what I am talking about, and the Morgan Wallen link up really proved that. Well, Drake had this to say about getting a #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 with a song that nobody other than the losers and hypebeasts even remotely missed. Well, now before we get into the actual words, first off, Drake put a bunch of these faces that really I have never seen another person even use, which let's just remember, grown man over here doing this, but now with the actual comments that Drake made here, he says, Suppressor on the #1 spot, and then he put a laughing emoji, and then he followed this up and said, I'm taking that soon, don't worry. One song or another, rule changes and all. And now with this. Well, first off, with Drake calling Alex Warren and his record Ordinary the Suppressor, well, really, with the fact that this guy, which with what we have seen so far from his time in the music industry, Alex Warren is a very genuine and down-to-earth nice person who is being called Drake's Suppressor, and now Drake is going to send all of these annoying people and fans over to his pages just to bother him, and then they are going to think that he is a part of this bigger conspiracy to stop him? Well, this once again shows us how Drake is as soft as they make him, and when it's not a rapper, and again, it's a guy who is just so unproblematic and who really won't do anything anything other than maybe talk about it in an interview if he's asked. Well, he will put something like this and call him out on his story and act like this big tough guy and address it directly, just like he does with LeBron James or anybody who can't actually get in the booth and end his career for that matter. But now beyond this, with the rest of Drake's comments and how he is acting like the rule changes were made to stop him and how he is going to get MJ's record with this song seemingly, but then if he fails, it will be the next one because of course Drake has to set up for that because it probably won't happen. Well, with all of this, we are seeing Drake just put on a masterclass in what he is doing, which is just losing all of the respect of your peers and the industry possible, and really just any space that matters. And now speaking about this number 2, which, come on, let's be real, the only reason it's even here in the first sentence is because the grifters, losers, and rejects everywhere who don't feel represented by normal songs and pieces of media, and again, feel normal emotions that are expressed with everything, just love because it reminds them of holding grudges all of the time for the worst reasons, never taking accountability, and then of course just to always create problems every single place you go again. As this is the audience for this record, and this is why Drake is even here at this point where he can talk like this. Well, once again, Drake is just showing his lack of self-awareness, and he is showing how toxic he really is for the entire music world as a whole. And really with Drake, this whole game that he is pulling of just blaming the label and Suppression for something that doesn't really exist because the song is on playlists and it's doing numbers on streaming, well, this has got to stop because it's the biggest crock of lies that I have seen in a while in this industry. And when it comes to all the fake detectives who have these out there theories about literally every single thing now, it's the ideas and rhetoric that Drake is putting out here to crutch for the fact that he is failing, which is making things like this such a massive problem, and it's why his fan base is so responsible for the single-handedly most out there things you will see in the music world. And so now with this, while Drake is saying that he is being suppressed by the industry and all that, I don't know how many times we have had to tell him, but let's just do it here and really put it into perspective because we can right now. Drake is still on UMG, and songs like Nokia have been used in NBA games and stuff like that, just like Kendrick's music has been, and Drake is still on playlists and all of that, and he is still collabing with major brands like the NFL and The Simpsons, both post-beef, and with all of this. Well, when you put away the games that are trying to get Drake back on top by making people believe what is a false victim complex and a clear manipulation tactic, you see that Drake just made a song that did everything not to go number 1, but ultimately just went number 2 fair and square, and from Nokia to this. Well, really, this may be Drake's peak spot, which he should be grateful for because he really shouldn't even be on these charts with how he has endangered the entire future of music. And again, with Drake, maybe it's how he is making music and it's the vibe of things or the lyrics, which are so weird and disgusting even when the song and the tone of it is nice. The morality and character of the man on display is so rotten and gross, which I think has been the downfall of the Drake number 1 really as a whole, along with a lot of other reasons. And the best way I can put this into perspective for any of the Drake fans who are listening and trying to annoy me, which once again, if you haven't, made sure to leave a like and subscribe so they can't. When we look at records like Luther or Squabble Up, they just have this groove to it that gives it a mass appeal, and they also still keep their integrity, which is something that Drake would never do. But really, when you look at a record like What Did I Miss, it just doesn't have any of these things at all. And this is why Drake is never going to go number 1, and it's not because these quote-unquote suppressors, which are just a lie, but again, it's because the music does not have mass appeal, nor has it created a cultural moment big enough to overwork through these radio things like something like Not Like Us did. And again, just to bring things full circle, when you want to talk about industry suppression from the labels, well, having a song with Kendrick Lamar that you were not allowed to release, had to give up 7 figures to then leave that label to get out of the deal you were in, and then when you finally dropped the album that had this song and that the industry didn't want to put out the way you wanted it, the same label in Def Jam that you were under in the bigger label ends up putting out a surprise album by its biggest artist in Justin Bieber, all after they were saying how scared they were of the optics of this Pusha T and Kendrick song from ever being heard for over a year in the first place. Well, again, as they are independent and they are not working with the majors, this is what actual suppression looks like, and this is what it actually feels like when the industry is trying to mute the impact that a song and an artist and an album can make. And now what's so crazy about this is that now with what just happened with the Clips and Pusha T, the only reason why this seemingly happened is because they were trying to avoid any more issues with Drake in the first place. And for Push, I mean, again, with last name Lawbury, first name Karen, or whatever you want to call him, blocking his music and expression was something that they did regularly ever since Pusha ended up hurting his feelings on the story of Added On just a little too much. And again, when we just get to this full circle moment of the fact that there is actually industry suppression going on and it is still somehow just from Drake even after everything that Drake has already done, It feels like there's just some game being played on here, and this is why when you see what Drake is trying to do with this whole anti-industry villain and victim thing that he has going, it's all just a performative angle to grift with and nothing else. And again, when you break down the numbers of the streams of What Did I Miss and the radio play of Alex Warren and see that every single thing adds up, and it's clear that nothing is being done to stop Drake and that the record is just bigger than What Did I Miss, with what Drake is spewing, which again, deep down inside he knows better than this whether he wants to admit it, you'll just see that we are headed on a bad path as he's only making these weird fans even more angry with every single thing that he tries to deem as this victim complex that he is just getting worse and worse with. But now what I will say is that as bad as Drake is making things and with the moments he wants to create with all the anger he is building straight from delusion, I am getting hope for this entire music and hip hop thing for the first time in a while, because right now, and just what happened to me personally last night, well, I went out and had one of the best experiences with this genre that me and so many other people love, and it happened to bring me to the point where I ended up being in the same place with none other than one of the best rappers out right now in Pusha T, and we were right there together seemingly doing this same thing, which was pretty cool considering how busy he has been, and how seemingly what I was doing and what Push ended up going to as well was a celebration for the biggest clipster in Push's eyes in none other than Tyler, the Creator, who just started playing 4 consecutive shows in New York with 2 at Madison Square Garden and then 2 after that at the Barclays Center. And now really, I'm not going to talk much about the performance itself because I don't want to spoil it if you have not seen it, because it is truly so legendary that you just got to see it for yourself, and all of the surprises and going in not knowing much is just going to be so more amazing. Well, still, without revealing any of the surprises, what I will say is that right alongside with what we are seeing with the GNX tour from Kendrick, Tyler's Chromacopia Arena run is one of the best live experiences I have ever been to, and is gonna go down as one of the best rap tours of all time, because I seriously, and I have worked in touring and have seen too many of these shows in these types of spaces, have never seen someone use the landscape of an arena to both bring more energy, but more importantly, bring us into the world of their album and also career as much as Tyler did. And now with Pusha T being at this show, it seems like Tyler tried even harder than usual, and something he did which was so cool was rap his verse from POV over the beat from Rusty Off Wolf, which was just amazing to see. But now in this time where it does still feel like rap is falling apart because of all of the clowns around these great things, to me they are just the most important people in this entire rap thing aside from Kendrick Lamar, and all 3 of these acts in this era have given us classic level material. And what I want to leave you guys with to just show the impact that Clips is making with this record is what Tyler said about them during the show, which I'm going to play some of that right now.
2 of the greatest rappers of all time. These got a new album out called Let God Sort Them Out, and I swear to God, look that album up and just listen. Shut the and listen, all right? Shout out Pusha, shout out Malice, and thank y'all for laying the groundwork with the re-up game mixtapes that allowed me to make this album right here.
And so with this, when you really get to see stuff like this and get to enjoy rap within the most pure way, which from Tyler's set to Push being there, everything was just so pure hip-hop. Well, what we can see on the other side is that with all of this ridiculous Drake stuff at the end of the day, well, ultimately with somebody like Tyler who has built his career and has always been honest and transparent with his fans, and now he is seeing all-time levels of success. Well, for Drake, as he is once again building a house of cards on lies, and he is really leaning into this more than ever because that's the only angle he has left to try and give himself any sort of a unique identity. Well, eventually, just like any poorly built thing, it is all gonna come down. And so now with all of this said, let me know, what do you think about what just went down with Drake and everything he is trying to push now about his song failing? And what do you think is going to happen next? As clearly it's looking like this record is only going to go down from here, and Drake is only going to spew more weird and bad things that are just going to hurt the music world as a whole. Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all of this, and also let me know if you've seen that Chromacopia tour, and let me know what you think of it, how Tyler is as a performer, and anything else about that record, and also about the Clips album as well. Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and now if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now if you want to see how right before this, well, Drake left the UK, making the situation with UK and US rappers a lot more weird, and at the same time, things for Travis Scott are not going the best with his new record, check out the suggested video.